Welcome to yet another lesson, a medical biology lesson. This lesson is about the heart, the engine of the body. It pumps blood through our body via the circulatory system. In this lesson, we will discuss the anatomy and physiology of the heart. With the anatomy of the heart, we discuss the location of the heart, how big the organ is, and what it looks like. The size of the heart can be compared to a clenched fist, and you know that the heart is located in the chest cavity between the two lungs. The heart consists of different types of tissues: nervous tissue, fatty tissue, and the heart contains blood cells. But the most important tissue is the muscle tissue. The heart is made up of muscle cells. It consists of 4 cavities, and these are separated by heart valves. So the heart is located in the chest cavity between the two lungs. But is it exactly in the middle, or slightly to the right, or slightly to the left? The heart consists of 4 hollow spaces. More about that in a moment. But the lower hollow space on the left side is where the muscle is thickest, and as a result, the heart deviates slightly to the left, and as a result, the left lung is slightly compressed, which is why it is smaller than the right lung. The heart is therefore in the middle, but deviates slightly to the left. The heart is located above the diaphragm. This is the main breathing muscle, and this muscle is the separation between the chest cavity and the abdominal cavity. And to protect the lungs and the heart from outside pressure, outside violence, we have a rib cage. The ribs protect these vulnerable organs. What cavities does the heart consist of? There are 4 of them, and we have a left side and a right side. The 4 hollow spaces lie in a square. The top 2 cavities are the atria, the right atrium, and the left atrium. The bottom 2 hollow spaces are the ventricles, right ventricle, and left ventricle. The heart valves are located between the ventricles and the atria, and from the ventricles to the arteries. A valve means that it closes when the blood has passed through it, and then the blood can no longer return to the previous space, so it can only go one way. The tricuspid valve is located between the right atrium and the right ventricle. The valve closes when the blood has passed through. Closing the valve means it can no longer return to the right atrium. From the right ventricle, it can only go to the artery. And what is the physiology of the heart? In other words, what is the function of the heart? It is the engine of our body. The heart pumps blood through the blood vessels. Every time the heart contracts, it pumps blood through the body, about 4 to 6 liters of blood. Next week, the lesson will be about the blood, and the next lesson will be about the circulatory system. Then we are talking about the blood vessels and the contents of the blood. The heart pumps 4 to 6 liters of blood through the body. And at rest, so when you are not making any physical effort, how often does your heart beat? The heart beats about 60 to 80 times per minute at rest. Some also talk about 60 to 100 times. It does differ per person. Do you exercise a lot? Are you overweight? These are all factors that influence the heart rate. But at rest, about 60 to 80 times. Breathing is about 12 to 18 times per minute. Again, at rest, again different per person. But more about this in 3 weeks, because then we will talk about the respiratory tract. And what makes the heart beat? Electrical signals that cause the muscle cells to contract. How does that conduction work? How do those electrical impulses run in such a way that the heart pumps? The stimulus starts at the sinus node, a group of cells that form the pacemaker of the heart. They emit an electrical signal and transmit it to the muscle cells of the atria. The right atrium and left atrium receive an electrical stimulus and then contract. The blood is pumped out of the heart atria, and the electrical impulse is passed on to the atrial node. And this AV node passes the stimulus on to the bundle of His. The bundle of His conducts the impulse across the heart chambers. The muscle cells then squeeze. And then, the blood is pumped out from the left and right ventricles. The blood is pumped to the body through the arteries. Next week, the lesson will be about blood, and in 2 weeks, we will discuss the circulatory system. So we will come back to this again. Thank you again for your attention. Glad you took this class. Hopefully it was clear, but if you have any questions, post them in the comments. Thanks again, and see you soon.